Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and another review for you. This is Image Comics. What's the furthest place from here? Issue number 1. Get into the what's, where's, when's, all that good stuff. We got storytelling from Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg. Lettering by Hassan Otsmane-Elhaou. And then it looks like color assistance by Clare, Dezutti. And that's pretty much all it says, no letterings or something like that, so I have to figure maybe the artist did the lettering as well. It does have a ton of different variant covers, stuff like that, and I do know that some of the issues came with a 7-inch vinyl. I don't know if the music or what's on the vinyl has anything of particular interest in the comic. Before I get into the review, at the end of this review, I will show you off, different. I'll scroll through some of the art to show you what it looks like in case you're interested. Very interesting issue, I can say that. The art and story is it's good. But really, it's kind of a conversation piece for another reason. But let's get into a review, and then I'll get into that a little later. But basically, it's like a story set up. It looks like a post-apocalyptic world. It starts off with this guy, and he's actually losing teeth and bleeding from the mouth. But basically, he's stating that he has like a year to live. He's in a bathroom, and eventually another character walks in, and it kind of happens to be our main character from this book standpoint. But it's Sid, and she is currently pregnant. They're kind of like in a warehouse setting. It's not really like a home. You could say it's set up like a home because they do live here, but it's just a bunch of kids that are in this like warehouse type of setting. And Sid and this other guy, they're kind of, and the other guy is, his name is Lafayette. But Lafayette and Sid, they're kind of like talking. And she notices that he's bleeding, and he's stating that he's dying, but it's not time yet, something like that. This commotion goes on where they get like a bang on the door, and you do meet a lot of the other kids that are there, and they kind of start stating stuff about curfew and something like that they shouldn't be like open or something like that. Nobody should be knocking on the door. As you look around the room as they're showing us, it looks like a massive like vinyl, like records kind of warehouse or something like that. Maybe at one time it used to be a shop / warehouse or something like that, because the front part does look like a vinyl shop, and they do show a lot of the kids and stuff going through the vinyl. There is a scene with Sid where she picks up like a I'm thinking it is a Daryl Hall and John Oates, the Private Eyes album, and she kind of flashes it before they get the knock on the door, stating that that's the album that represents her, and the guy that she states it to, I think it's Lafayette, but he's like, nah, you need to pick up something else, why'd you pick up that? And she's like, hey, they look cool. They're kind of like presenting this thing where like, this is after some major apocalyptic thing that happened, these kids are surviving, and they don't really know how like the world happened before then. So back to the knock, they get a knock, and the main girl, Sid, thinks it's a member of their community that left previously, and it's this guy named Slug. And sure enough, it does turn out to be Slug. They let him in, and he is like on his last leg. He's about to die, and they take him to the back. As soon as they take him inside, they do realize that he's being chased by some other individuals, and you kind of see one of the more like magical or mystical things in the book. They call these things the Strangers, and you kind of see them for a second. They look like these shadowy type of like female figures. You don't really get to see their face or anything, but as soon as they pan over to them, you do see like the real pursuers of this guy Slug, and it's like everybody. If you've seen the cover of this book, you've kind of seen this mask, but it's these guys wearing these pig face mask, and they're chasing this guy, and you find out that they're from another neighborhood adjacent to these kids like warehouse or whatever, and they have all these rules and stuff like that, but supposedly these pig guys are not supposed to be on this side of the territory or something like that, but they're only crossing the territory trying to get to the Slug guy. While this is going on in the background, Slug is with Sid, and Sid is she's kind of like taking care of him and trying to like find out what's going on, and he gives her like a vinyl record and then a map and a gun, and basically tells her that he found some city and that eventually he dies. Sid goes out, and as they go out, that's when all that she sees all the other kids, and they're kind of like in this mass, like, you know, gang war style fight, with just, you know, blunt weapons and stuff like that, chains, baseball bats, something like that. Um, Eventually, Sid does go outside, and she has the gun, and she threatens to shoot the pig-faced people if they don't leave and stuff. And at both sides of the fence, they're like, "Oh, that's not a real gun. Where'd you even get that?" You know, it seems like they haven't seen a gun in a while, kind of thing. She does end up shooting the gun, showing that it is real, and she ends up shooting one of the pig-faced guys. Maybe by accident or on purpose, none of that's kind of explained, but one of them does get him shot, and they end up having to leave because one of their members is either wounded or dead, kind of thing, and they you know, they kind of scoff their fist and be like, "We'll be back," you know. But they end up leaving, and the kids go back in the house and stuff, and they eventually get back to like some different stuff. So the comic spans forward, and it kind of shows like this celebration type event. Oh wait, I skipped something. Okay, so Slug had ended up dying while they were outside doing the whole gun thing. These strangers do come in through a door that was supposedly locked. They do show them unlocking it and stuff like that, and they showed these strangers like take Slug, and after he dies, and they take him back to the door that they entered. As the kids are done with the whole pig face situation, they do come back inside, and they see that well, they were told that Slug was dead, and then when they go to the bed where he had died, he is not there anymore, but just a trail of blood that leads to that door that was supposedly locked, and they don't have the key. So they don't necessarily, they think Slug left on his own trying to go back out and find the city. Sid, you know, really believes what she saw. She saw him die. And that's kind of where that leaves off. Like I said, they go back into the celebration thing, but it's more like it's a funeral. They're kind of like honoring Slug and what he represented and yada yada yada. They do have this rooftop scene where like another member of the kids, he's up there on the roof. Sid goes to go talk to him, and I think it's Lafayette again. But she goes up there and talks to him, telling that you know, like about Slug and this and that, about the map, and if the map of the city is real, this and that. It kind of sounds like he might have found like a bigger part of civilization that they didn't know existed, kind of thing. But eventually the guy tells him that, oh, he's got to stay watch and this and that because the pig face guys, that they're gonna come back because we killed one of them or something like that, you know. And she basically tells him that she's going to keep watch, and he's like, oh, okay, you know, and he goes down, and he's supposed to go down temporarily, and he ends up sleeping the whole night. He is woken up in the morning, and they find out that in the middle of the night, it looks like these strangers came and for some reason took Sid. And that's kind of where the book leaves off. It just leaves off with them on the rooftop and looking at a broken knife covered in blood, and that's all they show. They didn't show us Sid with a knife, so I don't know if that's hers or if that was there in the scuffle or anything. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is very early on in the book, I think it's like the third or fourth page, it does say that this is based on a true story, which is probably like my weird one hang up because it's featured in the very beginning of the book, and I'm reading it and I'm like, how is this based on a true story? It's an apocalyptic, like, you know, weird kind of future setting. I just don't see how this could be based on a true setting. I mean, we've never had this happen, kind of thing, as far as I know. Now, unless they're like, this is like some weird part of the Soviet Union or something like that, where they have had the fallout or something like that. Maybe I don't know. But other than that, that's probably like the weirdest. You know, it's probably going to be a bit of the conversation piece to this book, is how is it based on a true story, kind of thing. But other than that, if you minus that part of it out, it was a really good read. You know, it was interesting enough for me to keep going. Now, whether it is like recommended, you know, whether it was a read enough where I'd recommend it to people at this point in the story, I don't know. I mean, it was an okay story and everything, but I mean, and the art was good, but it wasn't enough to like, hey man, you got to check out this. I don't necessarily know about that. But that's not to say that the story won't get there eventually. It's just, for me, it's not there yet. But it was still an okay read. It was interesting. It was a well-developed read, I will say that. So, I mean, it seems like there is a good part of the story. So let me show you the art, and I'll let y'all go on your way. This is that, if I can get it to go, this is the based on the true story scene that they, big, bold. But I mean, early on in the comic, I mean, as you're reading, there's no part that seems like, I mean, the guy says he's got like a year to live. It is broken like this into like chapters. Kind of show you this is where they kind of go to war with the other neighborhoods, and you see first inkling of the pigman kind of thing. Everything's set in a standardized story, like free flow, so it's not a lot of jumping back, past and future kind of thing, which is kind of nice. But hey, that's my review. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.